Hey everybody, welcome back to Parsnips and Parsimony. I am going to attempt to film a July 1st garden update before it starts downpouring. I'm not sure how fast I can talk and show you guys everything, but let's see if we can get this done. July 1st, and this is what my garden next to my home looks like. I planted a new type of Amish speckled leaf lettuce here. It is doing really well. I've never grown this before, but it's doing really well. This is another type of kale that I've never grown before, and it is also doing very well. I've been picking off some worms. In fact, here's another one over here. This is usually my daily thing, is just pull off those little cabbage worms and whoop, either throw them to the chickens or out in the lawn. Volunteer dill, and oh look what just is starting to come up. I planted more of this lettuce, and I had read that lettuce does not come up when it's really hot, but it's coming up. A few beets that are just sort of growing. I'm trying to keep the kale up, trimmed up as much as possible so those beets can grow. I didn't expect that blue kale to grow that big. I have peppers, and more peppers. This entire row of different varieties of peppers. I have bell peppers, I have banana peppers, I have jalapeno peppers, big Jim peppers, and 2 habanero plants. I don't remember. There's one other variety in there that I forgot. But tomatoes, different varieties. I've got one variety here. I believe this is my Oxheart variety. Then I have a yellow tomato and then a delicious variety. I believe those are the varieties that I've put in here, but again, I can't remember it all. One thing I would love to do in future years is to do a better marking system of what variety is in each plot, so I actually know what they are. This year we got a little crazy trying to get the garden in, so I didn't get around to doing that. That's something I'd certainly like to improve on. If you guys have any suggestions on good tagging systems for doing that, whether you use the computer or if you use garden tags, I'd love to see your suggestions because that's something I'd definitely like to do. Over here we have another variety of kale which is doing phenomenal. I actually need to harvest this and freeze it for the winter. We're not going to eat this much kale. And then I have yellow and red beets. Red beets are here, yellow are in the back. And this is why I need to harvest that kale. I've got broccoli here and another broccoli, or is there 2? Yep, 2 broccolis there, but that kale needs to get harvested, but well, that's for another day. I have eggplant here. We had an attack of the, all those little holes would be sand beetles. I have gotten those, I believe, under control, and the plants are finally starting to thrive a little bit. And then over here, this is a row of zinnias followed by cosmos. Again, I'm a huge fan of companion gardening, and drawing in flowers and pollinators also helps control some of the other bad bugs. I like to keep my pest control as natural as possible, and I found that this works really well for me in my garden. I have canna lilies along the back of the fence. These are the big Jims. Oh, there's thunder, I better hurry. I've got some onions here that are doing really well. That's the 5 o'clock whistle. That's not a fire alarm. I've gotten questions about you guys before asking me, why is that fire alarm going off? Is there something serious going on? We have a 5 o'clock alarm that goes off every day. I just happen to be filming when it's 5 o'clock many times. So, thunder, fire alarm, not related. That's an onion. Be gentle. Just let them be. That's an onion. Good job, Daniel. I have volunteer parsley, volunteer dill, and then we have some basil. This needs to get harvested. I'll probably do that tomorrow, along with some more zinnias. All this parsley. This was volunteer parsley. I did not plant any of that. And then over here, talking about volunteers, I had every intention to removing this fella, but it has now gotten too big. So we're just going to let it run. I'm not sure what it is. It might just be a hybrid, but it's a pumpkin squash or something that's running. Okay, moseying on here quickly. We have picked our first blueberries today. This is part of our blueberry patch this year. This was a plant that is about 6 years old. It's supposed to be a patio blueberry. It has died, almost died multiple times, but it is finally doing well. I picked my first blueberry. It's got a couple more, not many on it. I think it's going to be the first of many. We also have some new blueberry babies. And then these plants here this one particularly is covered with blueberries. We just picked some blueberries here. Those 2 plants, the pH of the soil was actually different, and because it was different, those 2 blueberry bushes did not thrive like the other 3. So It just shows you how important soil pH is when you are gardening. Let me show you the sky, guys. I have to hurry, that's coming. Okay, moseying on. We have blueberries here. They're just starting to ripen up. These are actually going to be getting moved as soon as we finish our shed here. I gotta keep going, honey, before these thunderstorms come in. Okay, by the chicken coop here. Never pass up any opportunity to grow things. Hey girls, how are you? They're like, who are you? What are you doing, Mom? I have a few marigolds here just for color, and then I have regular chives, parsley that I grew in the winter in my house, a little bit of thyme, a volunteer tomato that needs to get moved, some sage here, a lavender plant, and then this baby rosemary is having the worst time. It keeps getting pulled out by an animal, but it's still alive. And then I have some garlic chives here. Along the back here, you'll see more zinnias. And then we have tomatoes along the back. These are going to get trained to go up and provide shade for the chickens. And we've got rhubarb here, trying a new type of compost tumbler. I had garbage cans with hopes of doing more potato garbage cans, but that didn't happen this year. I only ended up with 1 can of potatoes, and they're doing well so far, but that's all I had time for, and I can hear the rain coming. This is my 1 can of potatoes. We're just about ready to add some more dirt. This worked wonderful last year, had a great crop of potatoes, so we're hoping it'll do just as well. I have cucumbers here. Comfrey has to get cut down, put into the compost. Some spinach, just started bolting. I've got to pick that. And then horseradish, which I didn't harvest this year. That's for next year. Over here, I planted parsnips. They had a really hard time in the heat growing, so these need to actually get all replanted. Not a good crop of parsnips. I have more carrots there, tomatoes. The tomatoes, I don't know what happened to them, but they are just wilting. I don't know if they got too dry and now they look like this. I really don't know. It's the weirdest thing. Volunteer vine at this point with the tomatoes looking like this. I think I'm going to lose them, so just let the vine grow. Over here I have my 2 trellises of cucumbers along the back. I have carrots and then just a few radishes left. This was an amazing system to plant your carrots, but also intersperse a few radish seeds. We had so many radishes this year. These are only a few left, but it worked so well. And that was a trick from The Joy of Gardening by Dick Raymond. He had said that it was a great way to mark your rows with the radishes for the carrots, but you also get to have 2 crops within one, and it worked really, really well. Now, I also planted radishes over here. In fact, I may have, let's see, there's one in here. Yeah, I've got 1 or 2 left in here. Cucumbers back here, these are to go up the trellis, and then I filled this with nasturtiums, again, trying to work on companion planting and natural ways of repelling the cucumber beetles. I have a whole segment on cucumber beetles if you haven't seen that, on how I've been fighting a war with the cucumber beetles. I think I'm winning, but nasturtiums are supposed to be a way to help with that. Our beans are a little bit behind this year. We had some issues with them trying to sprout, so they're a little bit behind by about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And then over here, this was dill, spinach, and peas. The peas are, they're coming to an end. We've had a really good year of peas. I've got my greenhouse, which is currently home for some chickens, but they're going to be moving shortly. Over here, I planted Swiss chard and some more of that red lettuce. You can see that right here. So that is hopefully going to be the next crop of lettuce. Weeds, lots of weeds. Don't look at the weeds, no judgment. A volunteer hollyhock, I have to give this thing credit. It has survived great odds to being here. It sprouted last year, and then we built our greenhouse, and this thing got stepped on, trampled on, and I'm shocked. It's flowered, but it's gorgeous, and I'm loving it, so I don't have the heart to move it. Garlic, which has some surprise potatoes that wintered over from last year. We've got a couple of these big potato plants. I have no idea what we're going to get from them, but hey, it's a fun surprise. And then we have Zucchini and yellow squash. Yellow squash, not doing so well. Zucchini, it's getting there. I'm trying something I saw on YouTube about taking tomato cages and putting them upside down and then training the zucchini to actually grow up the middle of the cage. So you can see there's baby zucchinis in there. And then once this gets a little taller, I'll just go ahead and tie this directly to this stake here. So we're training the zucchinis to go up and produce, hopefully, lots of zucchinis. Nothing there. Sad, sad, sad. Maybe they'll still sprout. And then this guy, he's coming along. Okay, looks like we're doing okay. It's still over there. We're not pouring yet. So let me take you to the last 2 garden beds. Oh, and we've got more squash and pepitas out here running. Boy, that sky's looking awfully dark. I hope I can finish in time. Run! Out here, this is my neighbor's property, and if you haven't been following us or you haven't caught up on any of our videos, we are crop sharing this year with my neighbor. So he's letting us use his land and we're sharing the produce, which is a perfect solution for expanding our garden. We were out of room in our property, but this was a win-win situation. So this is my first garden over here. I don't have time to take the fence down, but I will tell you what's in here. Had a big problem with slugs and peppers. These are mostly jalapeno peppers, volunteer kale from something he had planted last year. And then his friend had sent him this type of an Italian paste tomato. We're giving it a try. I don't know how well, I don't know anything about these, but I did start those for him and they are coming along quite well. Guys, these tomatoes here, these were started from suckers. So I pruned these tomatoes here and took those suckers. All I did was throw them in the dirt. And look, it actually worked. Again, I saw on YouTube, I think I can find time to get in here. Again, on YouTube, I had seen that you can take the suckers and start more tomato plants. And I had a little extra room and I thought, oh, I'm gonna give it a try. It worked. Not all of them survived. They have to be big enough suckers. If I had watered them more, they probably would have done better. So I lost 1, 2, and 3. But I gained 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tomato plants. And these are my big ox heart tomatoes. So I'm hoping we'll get some more tomatoes. Basil healer. Again, they say basil and tomatoes are excellent together. So we're giving it a try. These tomatoes are doing phenomenal, unbelievably. I have to get out in here and weed. But I don't know if you guys can see how big these are. They are up to my shoulder. They are maybe even taller than my shoulder. They are huge. And we're only at July 1st. I can't imagine how tall they're gonna get. My sticks are limited. Once they reach the top, I'll be pinching them off. We have some bush wannabe pole beans that are just coming. They were advertised as bush, but obviously you can tell from the height of them, they were more like pole beans, but not quite pole beans. They are just setting bean pods, and there's a lot of them. We also have bean TPs over here. Let me see if I can get over there. We've got a lot of, wow, this is our first year doing this garden, and I wasn't sure how big everything would grow, but it's doing so well. Okay, bean towers, obviously doing much better than the ones in my garden, just starting to set flowers. These guys got about a 3-week behind start, so they're not anywhere close to getting ready. But we also have all these blackberries, and it's going to be a fabulous blackberry year. Eggplants are doing phenomenal here, and weeds. I mean, what garden wouldn't be complete without a beautiful weed patch? Please tell me you have this as well. I have tried to get these weeds under control. This was actually my first planting in this bed, which was kale, and I failed miserably. So I still need to replant that. We're probably going to do some more bush beans there just because we have enough time for those. And my neighbor has gorgeous, gorgeous blueberries all around the property here. And those are just coming ripe. We also have, if you saw, all of the berries that we put in this spring, those are all raspberries and weeds. Weeds, common theme here. We have some raspberries. Look, they are coming. And then we don't expect a huge crop of raspberries this year just because we just planted them, but they're coming along. Our compost pile here, but check this out. Corn, I have never grown corn. Corn is so exciting to me because I've always wanted to have some. I've heard stories that the coons will take it out, the birds will get it, but I'm growing corn. That to me is so exciting. I believe this is all Silver Queen, 2 different planting times. This was the first planting time, those 2 sets of rows, and then this was my second planting time. I smartened up, should have planted more corn than just 6 stalks in each one, so I beefed it up a little bit and did 3 and 4 rows in these beds here. I have planted all types of squash all around the garden here with hopes that this will help keep out the critters, the coons, and things like that. I wanted to do the 3 sisters method, but I just ran out of pole beans. So we're just doing the 2 sisters. The third sister's taking a vacation for this year. But it looks like I lost one of my plants. I don't know who did this. This just happened today. Maybe I'll make it. These are Hubbard squashes that I planted along the outside here. They're big and they're very vigorous, so I'm hoping that will be enough to deter any of those nasty raccoons that may want to hop into my corn patch here. And then over here on this side, we have so many types of squash and pumpkins over here. It's doing amazing right now. I'm not sure what's going to happen. And this is, I'm happy that they're out here. Our intention was for this whole bed to be squash and then just to run. And it's doing really, really well right now. And then Art had a request of doing some watermelons. I don't know if watermelons grow in zone 5, but we put in a couple there. We've got some zucchini plants here. And then yellow squash. Oodles and oodles of yellow squash. Unbelievable. I mean, those... I can't, there's no words. I've gotten so much yellow squash from them, and it's only July 1st. Tomato plant here is doing well. See, it's already setting some tomatoes. This was from our greenhouse friend, and it's doing really, really well. Look at all those squash in there. I just can't keep up with it all. Now over here, we've had a little bit of a sad mishap, and this was oversight on my part. I'm not out here enough, and this was mosquitoes. This is my first year being in this garden, so I really wasn't aware of black walnut trees. But if you look right there, that's a black walnut tree. And for mosquitoes. And for experienced people, you know you should not plant tomatoes by black walnuts, and that's what I did. And the plants are dying. Unfortunately, cucumber plants here, lots of weeds. Some of the plants are okay, but it's that same wilty stuff that I have in my garden. But my garden isn't anywhere near this black walnut. So I'm not sure if we're gonna get any tomatoes from here. We do have a row of potatoes here, as well as eggplants and peppers. I have no idea. I have no idea what's gonna survive. And when we first started this garden, we knew that there was a real wild card factor and how well these gardens would do. We just didn't know. So that's why we double planted a lot of stuff between our gardens and our yard, and then these guys, we just didn't know what it was gonna be like. We've had critters out here before. Our neighbor said he's had woodchucks demolish all of his beans. We just didn't know. And surprisingly, things are going really, really well. The black walnut tree, we totally could have prevented if I had been aware, alert enough to that. But that's gardening experience. It is ready to downpour. I think I made it, showed you everything in our gardens, July 1st, 2021. If you're new here, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're having a fabulous day. I'm gonna run inside before I get sopping wet, and I'll see you for your next video. Bye.